Hello. Thanks for coming. Hi, Penny. Oh, Penny. How is it as soon as I press record, you're there? I hear you. I know you're out there, Penny. Penny? So many pets. So little time. Well, what's up today? It has been, well, if you watched the last episode, which was a long one, I took every single chip out of the chocolate board. Well, not every single chip. As much RAM as I needed, but all the other chips I swapped over to this machine. And my high hopes were dashed when this came up and it wouldn't perform. It would not. Funny things on the screen kept happening, and I tried other RAM chips, and I kept on, and I was like, oh. But, you never know what it is that is wrong. So, and sometimes the best thing to do is walk away. Walk away and come back with a clear head and a clear mind, and especially if things were frustrating, and say, okay, let's look at this again. So I did that. And, let me just get this board here. This is the chocolate board. It is now empty, except for RAM. Empty of all the socketed chips, except for RAM. Hello, Penny. Anyway, after thoughtful, hi, Penny, reflection, calm reflection, I said, well, you know what, let me just double check everything. Because you never know. As much as I try and think, I could never, ever do anything wrong. Things happen. Of course. Oh, excuse me, Penny, sorry. Penny doesn't like it when I sneeze. I don't like it when I sneeze. Anyway. So I went back and I looked. Now, it is harder. Oh dear, it's happening. It's harder on these boards to know which way the chips go. Because from what I've seen on here, like I'm looking at this socket here, there is no indentation on either side that I can tell. And neither on that one. And, oh. Well, it's hard to tell. It is. I thought I had brought with me other glasses. Not that I don't like the quadfocals. I do. But sometimes going between the different areas is challenging. Oh, by the way, on yesterday's video, the long one, you probably already figured this out. Turn up the volume, turn up the volume. Anyway, I'm going to look with these glasses. Oh, okay. So on the one socket, no, I don't see any indication of what. On the two larger ones here, up in the top corner, there is a little indentation thing that I would assume indicates that, oh yeah, there it is. Indicates the witness mark. Anyway, when I was, but these ones down here don't have any of that. I don't see anything different. Oh. No, I really don't. But on the bigger ones, of which there are 4, now that I look closely, yeah, there are little indentation things. There are. Anyway, I hadn't noticed those at the time, and basically every chip that is horizontally mounted. The witness mark is on the right side. So, and every chip that I have found, I'm just looking at everything that I can see here, that is on the vertical, the witness mark, where the chip goes with the witness mark down. So I thought, in looking around here, oh, there's another little one. I got to looking at this board for confirmation that I had done everything right. And indeed, I found that this chip here, and now that I look closely, this tiny little chip here, the witness mark, is on the left. So I pondered this. I'm just looking further. I pondered this as I was doing things. I did. And then I went looking. And I found that indeed this chip, which is 6520, let me just look at one of them here. Yes, a 6520, on this board that I had swapped everything over, I had put in backwards. This cannot be good. This cannot be helpful. Hopefully something like this is not destructive. So, I very carefully, of course, just looking for confirmation, yes, every witness mark, and it's funny, the witness marks can be a little indentation, they can be a little, well, the indentation often just goes right to the end of the chip. There's one here and some others here where it's basically, it's just a little, it doesn't go right to the end of the chip, but there's a little divot, kind of. But mostly it goes to the end of the chip. Anyway, I have found over the years that somehow or another, these machines are typically quite forgiving of such errors. And I'm hoping that that is indeed the case today. I still need to open this up and tweak the video cable in there and try and clean up the contacts a bit. See, there is, not to get off topic, but hot when don't I? The signal from the main board to the upper board goes through a connector with wires and to a connector. And of course there is that micro corrosion. So, anyway, if this blacks out, I attribute to micro corrosion. I've had this happen earlier on, I had a green screen pet. And I did, you know, I shined things up and tidied things up. But really, what ended up working the best, even though, because you can't really get inside the pin things, what really worked the best was for me to push it all the way down. This is up in the monitor. By the way, don't go into monitors. Don't do it. There's high voltage. Be careful. Terrifies me. Anyway, what I did is I went in, and then, besides sliding it up and down, and spraying on contact cleaner, and doing all that other stuff, I ended up just leaving it. I pushed it all the way down, where it would have been for like 40 years, and then I lifted it up ever so slightly. So things were not making the same contact exactly as they had for 40 years, and then I never had another trouble again. Anyway, but I digress. So, in this machine, to summarize, the board that was in this machine that is missing the keyboard and missing the data set, etc., that I really haven't tinkered with, but had good chips to help with these machines. I took the circuit board out with some difficulty. No, actually this was the one that I had to do. Anyway, the chocolate board is out. I had difficulty getting it out, but I got it out. And the other one I populated with the chips in the sockets and put it in. That's where we're at. So the next thing is I went and double checked, and sure enough I found that there was the 6520 that I put very carefully into this board from the other board over here, and it was backwards. So I have since corrected that. But it was late last night when I figured this out, after a calm, reflective time. So when I saw this, I said, oh my. Anyway, as I said, I have not found such things to cause damage that I know of. Not saying it's a good thing to put chips in upside down and backwards and all. So it is time. Now, when I put the chips in this, I only put enough RAM to make it go, which was 2K, the first 4 chips. But I have not turned it on yet, because I wanted to record that, and I couldn't do that last night when the Blue Jays were playing and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was hitting not 1, not 2, but 3 home runs, including a grand slam. He finished the night with 7 runs batted in. 1 grand slam, 1 solo home run, 1 with 1 person on base. Yes, it was a big night. Anyway, it's hard to record when such things are happening. So, I got it all ready. And now, while you are here, I will turn this on. Keeping in mind, every other time I try to turn it on, with the chip backwards, mind you, I just got garbage on the screen, garbage on the screen, garbage on the screen, garbage on the screen. And I've never had this board populated. When I got this machine, it was deficient in many ways of many chips and other things. So the time is now. Do I have it plugged in? I have it plugged in. Let me just double check inside, make sure I haven't left anything. Nope. No screwdrivers, no screws, no anything to foul this up. It is time. Clear your mind. Okay. I'm going to close my eyes and listen. And I'm going to take a guess. Okay. The cassette and mortar ran. That is a very good sign. Because it is supposed to just give that little thing at the beginning. And I don't believe it was doing that when I had the chip in backwards. So I'm going to open my eyes and look at the screen. And I suspect, well, judging from what it was before, it will be full of crud. And I will say, ugh, damn, and I will carry on. But it may be working. I don't know. Commodore Basic 1023 bytes free. That is exactly what it should say, considering, love that noise, considering that it has 4 RAM chips. Now I'm sure it's going to still have the same keyboard issues, so I have to use abbreviated things. Ooh. Press play on tape 1. It's funny, you know, there are 2 cassette ports. I'm not sure how you tell it. They must have different device numbers. It's been a while. I have to figure out how to load something off of tape 2. Oh, okay, it's found Commodore, and it is loading. Now, for those of you who have been here before, Commodore is a program much like what is running on this machine, except it was the first one I did. Right. Abbreviated things. List. Okay, we got this. And it was just designed to fill up. Alright, I can't run on this one because keys are weird. I have to move up go to 10, which should run the program. Ooh. It may look very similar to this, because it is. Mind you, this one only has 1K in it as of this moment in time. Excuse me. But it's working. Whew. So, I'm on the verge of having 2 working machines, which I kind of did before, except I've got to deal with the chocolate. But perhaps 3 working circuit boards. Although I do not have all the chips to populate the other board. I have some, but not all. It's funny, you know, when I was first getting into computers, there was a fellow at my school who, at times, I felt sorry for him. He had a rough go, but anyway, I remember we were talking about memory and things and stuff, and he had a pet, and it had 4K. And he got very indignant when somebody suggested that you couldn't do much in 4K. He said, you can do a lot in 4K. And for those that aren't familiar, 4K, which when you turn on the machine would actually be more like 3K, because the machine takes about a K in its, you know, housekeeping things, means that the whole program, all the data, all the everything, could be approximately 3,000 characters. Although, you know, when I see job things where it's like 10K, 20K, 50K, whatever, see, a K is really 1,024. And if ever I was applying for something and they said that it paid, say they said it paid 100K, I would say, oh, very good. But you do understand that that is not 100,000, that a K is 1,024. And if they really wanted to get stickly, you know, I mean, I wouldn't not take something because they were going to bow out over that. But still, a K is 1,024, not 1,000. Not 1,000. Anyway, so here we have a 2K pet running its test program, and it seems quite happy. Next to this machine still has 8K, and it seems quite happy. It seems. So the next thing I must do is gather my bits and pieces and resources and things and find a good spot where I can safely unsolder the chocolate infected sockets. Infested, that's what they are, they're infested. Because I really think, you know, there's not a whole lot of power running in these things, and from what I can see, like the chocolate, I have no idea how it ever got in there. It really looks like liquid chocolate squirted in, God knows how long ago, and it isn't like gooey, it's rock solid hard. So, and as you know from my previous experiments, it was working, but there was something not right in the first bit of memory. There was. So, this is looking good. I'm just looking around here for my bag of chips. Here, of course, is my Commodore Computer Systems Service Reference Guide, which I really should. Still looking for the chips. I should look through this and look for instructions for the programs that are here. Now just a second here. Aha, I think I see them in the distance. Excuse me. 1 second. Yes, I do. Okay. So these are extra RAM chips, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not enough to fill this machine by any means. But while we're here, I'm going to press run stop. Ooh, and the program breaks. Isn't that beautiful? How's this one doing? And it breaks. Now this keyboard seems quite fine. This one has issues. But don't we all? Alright, so I think what I'm going to do, because I'm daring, and perhaps somewhat foolish, now that this machine is working, and I have extra RAM chips here, I think I'm going to try and put some in. Checking the witness mark. Yeah, I really. Just a second here. One moment. I really need, I'm sure I had brought other glasses in here. Because you know what, I like these glasses, but there are times when none of the 4 focal lengths really work. So I think what I'm going to do, oh, that's a good length. I think what I'm going to do is put in 4, which should bring me to 4K, which is essentially 3K, because of course the machine needs a little. Oops. Is that going in nicely? Yes, it is. All right, one more chip. One more. And by the way, this is indeed it says it's a MOS MPS 6550, made in the 44th week of 1978. All right. You know, while I'm here, there was one foot on this board that did not, well, it came out of the board, and, there we go. It came out of the board, and then it went away, and when I'm pushing chips in, I'm finding that there's more movement than I would like, so I'm going to put that in there. Okay. So, double checking the witness marks are good. So, if all has gone as planned, this should now be a 4K PET. Yes, 4K, which means it should show about 3K. $3,071 by 3. Life is good. Alright, so, alright, keyboard issues. So we will L-Shift-O. And the first thing thing it should find is Commodore, which it has not. Oh, okay, now it is found. But we are not interested in that. What I really want to do is let this load, and then, which won't take long, it's a small program, just about 1,000 characters in size. It is in. I will list to make sure. Oh yes, right. L-Shift-I. Okay, it all looks good. Now I will do another L-Shift-O for load, and I will press play on take 1. And it should find Commodore 3K. Commodore 3K, which really I should have called 4K. Actually, the first one I should have called Commodore 2K. This should have been called 4K. The 5K should have been called 6K. And the 8K I think I did call 8K. So it is loading. Nothing like the speed of a tape drive. For those of us that, grew up on a tape drive, we don't find the 1541 so terribly slow. That's, of course, working with this on the 64. Because the tape drive was slow. Quite reliable, but slow. One thing, I may have told the story before, a friend of mine decided he would get a TRS-80. And so he did. Ah, it is in. And it used, a tape deck from TRS-80. But the problem was, you see, there's no volume control on this, although on maybe some of the early ones, I don't know, maybe there was somewhere. But there's no volume control to dick around with. But with the TRS-80, with programs, if you did not have the volume set just right, programs wouldn't load. I guess they would save okay, but they wouldn't load. So I'm surprised that they even had that on tape drives that went with the TRS-80, but they were just their normal tape drives from Radio Shack. So of course they had a volume control. But that made it more of a pain. Anyway, L-Shifted-I, we will list. And the program all looks good. And it's in. And we will. Oh wait, I can't run. I have to shift and go up here and delete and say go to 10. And poof. It is running. So, there it is. Don't need that down. So I guess what I will do now is, I've got this one pretty happy. I've got this one pretty happy. I'm going to let them, it's scary for me to let them burn in, because that implies that I'm hoping that they will fail. Well, I'm not hoping that they fail. But they might. But I'm hoping not. So, yes, so the twins are doing pretty well here. They are. I'm going to look through, as I said, this manual and see if I can find instructions for the PET test programs. It may be that I know there's mentioned somewhere in there that there's this hardware thing that grabs on like a clip that goes on the pins. And I don't have that. So the programs may need those things. I don't know. But I'll see. So, this is a great day. 2 working pets. Another one that I know works. It just needs a little sanitization. A de-chocolating, a de-sliming. And of course, I suppose I could, if I was really ambitious, try and find replacement chips. So I could have 3 working, fully populated, fully happy boards. We will see about that. We shall. Yes, here is the chocolate area. It is. And you know what, as I look into and around one of the ROM sockets, it too, well, certainly there's chocolate down below, but I don't see any in the socket. But these 2 RAM chips were horribly inflicted. So, thank you for coming. Stay tuned. Next episode may in fact be the desoldering. It might be. Alright, good night, Penny, wherever you are. I just like sitting here looking at these 2 things. Anyway, enough for now. It is very much appreciated that you are here. Stay safe.